We got only 6 vehicles on launch day of the Criminal Enterprises DLC, which is pretty surprising. That is not a lot, and only 5 of them are actual cars, so we have a lot of drip feed cars that are gonna come out later on. But in this video, we're gonna rank all the cars that have come out with the DLC so far. This could definitely help you if you don't exactly know what you want to buy, so essentially you don't end up wasting your money on something that's not worth it. Just an FYI, I don't think any of these vehicles are that bad. We're gonna go from worst to best, but just know I don't think any of these vehicles are all that terrible. I'm gonna rank them based on how much I like them and how good they are. Starting with the new muscle car, which is the Greenwood. You can find it in the Southern San Andreas website. It's got a trade price of just under 1.1 million and a buy it now price of I think just above 1.4. Now usually I'd focus on the buy it now price, but I highly suggest you guys do 3 of the IAA missions and then you unlock the trade price. So it's really easy to unlock the trade price, and I'd say at a price tag of 1.1 million, this car is not super overpriced like some other vehicles in the game. The number one downside of this car is it's a bit slow. Like, you're definitely gonna notice the acceleration is just not like the Buffalo STX or anything, like not even close. It's an older model muscle car, so maybe it's supposed to be like that, but definitely don't expect any good performance at all. It's got somewhat of a bouncy feel to it, which I kind of like. Only buy this muscle car for the looks and the customization of it, because in races you're gonna get absolutely smoked by everybody. Next one is the Torero XL, which is like the ultimate modern looking supercar that came out on launch day. It is a very hefty $2.9 million, and after all the upgrades it's probably gonna be close to $3.5 million at that point, which if you ask me is very overpriced. That's the number one problem with this car, the price of it. It is just not worth the money. If you happen to find it on sale down the road, then maybe it's worth buying if it's something like 30% off, but unless you really want it and you really have a ton of money, I don't think you should buy this supercar. The customization is alright. I think it's got a decent amount of customization, but it's all relatively the same stuff. I do like some of the unique features it has though, like the active spoiler on the back. If you leave it stock, when you start driving fast it's gonna go up, and when you slow down it's gonna go back down, like there is on the T20. I do like cars that have that, and it's got retractable like headlight covers, which is really cool. The headlights on this thing are definitely really unique. This car in my eyes is like a hybrid of the Ignis and the Tempesta. That's what it reminds me of. Its acceleration is pretty good, but the top speed isn't very fast, and the traction of the car is not great. You're gonna find yourself spinning out some of the time. You just get substantially less and less control of the car the faster you go. Next up is the Omnis EGT, which looks absolutely amazing, especially after you upgrade it. Some of the default customization options just don't look very good, but after you upgrade it you can make this car look really sick. It's an electric car, which means when you drive it around it's just gonna sound like a battery. Whether you like that or not, I don't know. It might be a plus, it might be a con. We talked a little bit about the customization earlier, but the customization overall is great. It's got a ton of different options, and you already know it's a recipe for success when the car looks good and you have a ton of customization options. You really can't go wrong with that. When it comes to performance, the acceleration is very good. It's an electric car, so you kind of expect that from it. The top speed is also good. It's even a 4-door, which is a pretty big plus. A lot of these cars, the well-performing ones, are 2 doors, but this one does have 4 doors, which means you can get the whole squad in if you wanted to. The weakness I found with the performance of it is when you try to turn, sometimes you're gonna spin out. The car feels a bit heavy when you try to turn, and then sometimes you're gonna spin out if you do it too sharply. That could be something you get used to though, not the spinning out part, but just handling this vehicle so it doesn't end up spinning out a lot. Another thing I see to be a huge plus about it is it's actually eligible to get Imani tech upgrades on it, which by the way I didn't mention earlier, but the Greenwood can also have Imani tech on it, which if you don't know are very useful upgrades you can have so people can't lock onto you, and it has armor on it so you don't get blown up just by one explosive. Next up is the Corsa, which is actually free for GTA Plus members. For non-GTA Plus members, which are the most of us I would guess, it is going to cost you exactly the same as the EGT at 1.8 million bucks. The best feature of this vehicle is the looks of it. In my opinion, obviously it all comes down to opinion at the end of the day, but in my opinion this is one of the nicest looking cars in the game, hands down. It is absolutely beautiful. I love the headlights of it especially. Let's go into reasons you should buy this car and reasons you might not want to buy this car. First, looking at the price of it, I don't think it's terribly overpriced like let's say the Torero. I think it's a decent price for a very nice car with great customization, by the way. I remember in particular it's got tons of different spoiler options. Another reason you should buy this car besides the looks and customization is the top speed. It's pretty freaking fast, and now this is kind of a segue to reasons you might not want to buy this car, and that is because of the handling handling of it. It handles absolutely terribly. You spin out way too often and you have little control of this car once you start going fast. And I would say the acceleration is about average, maybe even a little below average. It's not the fastest acceleration at all. Take all of these into consideration if you're looking to buy this car. Going into the top spot on the list, that is going to be the LM87. It's a retro type supercar which performs amazingly. It's about the top 5 best performing supercars in the game, which does say a lot since we have a ton of different supercars. That is definitely very respectable. It's fast, it's got decent traction, it doesn't spin a whole lot like some of the other cars on this list. The acceleration is not bad either. I think the looks of the car is where you either love it or hate it, because not everyone likes the looks of a retro supercar. Some do, some don't. It really depends on your personal opinion. I'm not particularly super big when it comes to retro supercars, but I really like the looks of this one. It's very low to the ground, especially if you put the low suspension. You're gonna feel it's almost like an F1 car as a supercar. I like the livery options. It's got a whole lot of spoiler options too, and a few other unique options. But then comes the hefty price tag of $2.9 million. That is very expensive, but unlike with the Torero, I would say this might be worth it just because of the great performance and all the other pluses it's got. What would you change about this list? What's your favorite car out of launch day? I'd be happy to hear down below in those comments. Now, if you want to see the best methods to make money right now with the new DLC, click the video on screen now. I hope you all enjoy that video, and peace.